Andrew Garfield, the Amazing Spider-Man himself, opens up on the cancellation of the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, and specifically the Amazing Spider-Man 3, how things went and how the story was abandoned by Sony. So this comes at us from an interview with GQ, where Andrew Garfield was talking about his return as Spider-Man, of course, getting to feel like there was a sense of closure. And then off of that, they went on and talked a little bit more about the fallout between him and Sony, him losing his love for Spider-Man, and of course, the franchise falling apart and everything that transpired and his whole experience during that time. He said that he was always open to the idea of doing more, but he didn't know how they would go about it. And since it was canceled, he had this sense of an undone feeling that always lingered with him. And that experience soured everything that was going on in his life. He had troubles with some of the relationships there. He really started to feel uncomfortable almost with everything that transpired. And he also says that one of the pressures of being Spider-Man at the time, and ultimately things that kind of got crazy as it got closer to the Amazing Spider-Man 3, was realizing that you have to carry everything. You're the leading man. And the MCU was different. You could see that they could support each other. Tom Holland has the backing of everybody else, and it helps. It takes some of the pressure off, and it makes you alone have more pressure on you. And that's how he felt the entire time he was Spider-Man. Despite their best efforts, it was always him that would be the fall guy. He also talked a little bit more about how much of a toll it took on him at that point in his life, and how he felt when he was cast, and also how different of a time it was, and everything that was promised and things that weren't delivered, specifically with the Amazing Spider-Man 3 and what they were setting up, and the fallout with the studio, and how he was naive at the time, and how everybody was taking advantage of everybody. You can just kind of get the sense that there was a whole lot of problems behind the scenes at Sony. And we know this for a fact now. We know this for a fact. It's been well documented. And again, you can just kind of reflect on it. We've all been there. Everybody's been there, right? Where you reflect on something that happened and you're like, that probably could have gone a little bit better, if not way better. But ultimately, you are where you are now, and for good or for bad, you can't change the past, but you can learn from it. And I love just seeing Andrew Garfield talk about his love for Spider-Man returning, and ultimately he doesn't hate Spider-Man anymore. And we can thank what happened recently for that. He had closure, and that's what he ends the interview with, saying he got his closure, and that's awesome.